Welcome to Be a Light with Mushan podcast. I'm your host, Mushan Payeski. This podcast is dedicated to spreading kindness, positivity, and knowledge sharing, and also emphasize the importance of authenticity and human connection. About 2 years ago, I met someone extraordinary. Her name is Gail Meriel through Toastmasters. And along the way, I followed her on social media and then seeing how the transformation happened in her life. And especially, she also started her business as Success Redefined. So today I have the privilege and honor to invite my friend and Toastmaster, public speaker, coach, Gail Meriel to my podcast. Welcome, Gail.
Thank you, Mushang. How are you? I am so glad to be here.
Welcome. I met you through Toastmasters. Again, I can't thank Toastmaster enough. And we shared something about member spotlight. And during that member spotlight, you were the moderator, and you also shared your story about being someone who had imposter syndrome, and I loved your message. And before we dive into deeper, would you mind to tell us a little bit and tell us about your journey, your life a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks again for having me here, Mushang. I had a childhood dream to become an author or a broadcaster or even a fashion model. And I was told many times when I was young that that was not something that I could be, right? And there was a lot of times that I saw myself that I couldn't be that. Nobody looked like me on TV. Nobody looked like me in the runway, or in magazines. And I started believing that I couldn't do much for my dreams. A lot of times I felt that I had to be whoever everybody wanted me to be. I was told to, as my generation was taught in families, culturally, school, that if you get a great, if you work your way up, get a great job, carry the title, you'd be really successful. But that didn't include my dreams and my passions. And I couldn't find a way to work that in. When I became an adult, that imposter syndrome carried on through adulthood. And it came to a point where I was trying to chase titles. I was trying to get promoted as high as I could in the corporate world. I was juggling being a wife and being a mother. And I ended up landing in the emergency room because I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed, stressed out, burnt out, trying to be somebody that everybody wanted me to be valued. And I felt that by satisfying everyone, I'd be valuable. On that hospital bed, I made the decision to take care of myself and to be able to live my life for myself. And that's when I had that pivotal point, Mushang. I found myself being able to revisit my childhood dreams and being able to try to fulfill it, even no matter what age I was. I joined Toastmasters. I tried to be able to get the confidence, which Toastmasters ended up helping me build my confidence in public speaking. I ended up becoming an author. There was an opportunity that came for me to co-write two books and talking about my journey to confidence. And I ended up becoming an international best-selling author. I ended up being on stages. I ended up having many opportunities and getting the visibility to be on national stages, to be on a major television network, and to meet the most amazing people who shared the same values and goals that I did. I couldn't have done this without the confidence building strategies that I implemented that when I made that decision on that hospital bed. I
Yeah.
told myself I was going to do what I can to be able to fulfill my dreams and be more happy and
Yeah.
fulfilled and share my passions and be a light. And that's why I started Success Redefined. I wanted to bring that strategy out to all women in the world to understand that there might be sacrifices that you have made in the past, but that doesn't mean that you should hide or bury your dreams and passions.
Mm.
I'm just a regular girl who is in corporate, who has a child, who has a husband, who has a home, but I accomplished so much because of the strategies I took to get the confidence to go through that journey.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm sharing it with all of you. And Success Redefined, that's the meaning of it. You redefine your success on your own terms.
Great. Before diving into your redefined strategy and how to help our audience to overcome imposter syndrome or boosting their confidence, I actually had a question right before our conversation. I did ask you, were you an immigrant like me? But you said you were not. I was actually surprised that you said you also grew up with the same type of education or expectations that you had from the people around you. Would you mind to share a little bit how I would love to learn a little bit about your upbringing and education. And I thought in the US that wouldn't be a case, at least. That's what I had
Yeah,
in
well,
mind.
we all have cultural beliefs that have been passed down to us from generations, right?
Yeah,
Good and bad.
yeah,
And when I say good and bad, it is depending on your certain situation, depending on where you're at in your life and how you really want to fulfill it. There is a stigma or a belief that there has to be a certain path, especially for you, right? For all of us living in two cultures. I try to get the best of both the American culture and the Filipino culture. My parents are from the Philippines, and we have they've instilled great values, great family values, professional values, and just really being able to be successful in life. There are times, though, that they do clash because a lot of times we want to make our parents happy and we want to ensure that we have the best opportunities in life. That was where my imposter syndrome sometimes came from because my desire to make my parents happy, ensure that they knew that they're doing the best job that they can to raise me to be successful. That pressure was what sometimes caused me to have imposter syndrome.
yeah,
And it was tough because it was like, I wanted to be very disciplined and have those values stay with me. But at the same time, with so much pressure, there was not really any room for failure. And when I did fail, I felt that I was letting my family down. And I know a lot of people out there, especially women, are very in tune with what I'm saying, because there's a lot of times that I felt if I fail, if I don't do something right, then I failed them, or I failed society as what was dictated as being a woman professional. And so that's how, sometimes there are conflicts with culture. And it's not just the culture, it's also how you are raised from a family and a generational perspective. If you were seen as, the more disciplined, more responsible person in the family, there's always that pressure to stay that way. And if something happens that doesn't work out right, then fingers get pointed to you somehow. And I felt that that was the perception that I had in being able to be successful in life.
Yeah. How many siblings do you have?
I have one sibling, a brother who's just a year younger than me.
Okay. Yeah, being a big sister, yeah, you do have this pressure to be a good role model, right? Even
Exactly.
though just a 1 year
Exactly.
difference, it
Exactly.
makes difference. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my situation, I also experienced this imposter syndrome. Primarily is from my gender and also from my language and
Mhm.
culture because I grew up in the culture that girls were less valued. And
Yeah.
so I always felt less important, less valued. So I had to try my best to prove my value. And so I understand the kind of and trying to prove to get the validation to show your value is can be tiring. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
you talked about you ended up in the emergency room is because of the exhaustion from a corporate job. Would you mind share a little bit of your career journey, how you ended up to that point, and what you're doing now?
Yeah. And it wasn't just my corporate job. It was trying to manage everything. There's so many aspects of life that I had that I felt that I needed to be perfect at.
Yeah.
And being I'm an IT project manager, and being an IT is very demanding. There are a lot of long hours, a lot of expectations in the role, and as I got promoted, there are more responsibilities. And at that time, my child was younger. He was toddler age. And trying to be a mom of a toddler, trying to raise a son, as well as manage the household and being a wife, there's a lot of pressure all around. And you did mention, the gender roles, so it's not just cultural roles, it's what society places from an expectation perspective on a woman, right? And you're expected to manage all of those roles in your life. And unfortunately, I couldn't manage it very well because I ended up getting exhausted. And at the same time, I didn't know how to say no.
Yeah.
If there was, if I needed help, I always thought that I needed to do everything on my own. And working long hours, not getting enough sleep, not getting enough rest, being able to try to juggle everything, it ended up falling apart. And that's where my health problems ended up coming into play because
Yeah.
I was exhausted. I was trying to satisfy everyone, being able to place that validation and value on what everybody else thought of me. And that's how I ended up in the emergency room because of that exhaustion. And when I told you earlier, my pivotal point was when I said, "Hey, you know what? I need to slow down. If I wanted to stay longer in this world, I needed to slow down and take care of myself." Because in the past, I've always considered myself as last place, right? Take care of everyone else first, and then if there's time, take care of myself. And that time, personal time for personal care, never came until I was forced to. And so now, I'm trying, I'm balancing it much more healthy, using strategies of my own mindset, being able to set boundaries and being able to participate in more passionate projects, and my business in order to be more balanced and be more fulfilled. And physical exercise is always good, and I try to make time to set for myself to exercise, to walk with the dog, to do the exercises I love. I love Zumba. I love spinning, going to spinning classes and bike. So that I try as much as possible to do what I love, and which I didn't allow myself in the past, because I always thought I had to be the responsible one. And
Yeah.
now it's much better. And try to set that example to all of those women out there who are trying to juggle everything, to step back and reassess and tell themselves you need some time for yourself.
I agree. And this concept, actually, the self-care, self-love concept only maybe started in the recent years. That's
Mhm.
also it's the education, it's the environment. And
Yeah,
nowadays, just like myself, I see my health is wealth. So I don't chase as much of the title or a success externally a lot more.
mhm.
I really found the peace. And in the past, I would feel the same. I need to be the best in the best to prove my worth.
Right.
Now I feel when I'm healthy, when I feel unstoppable, it's something, it's so invaluable. It's not
Absolutely.
something I can measure. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think when it comes from within, if and that's why I help women out there, is to help them understand that they are worth it, to help them find their worth in their own metrics, in their own way, and not let anyone else define them. And that's my tagline, is don't let anyone else define you, because you have the power to be able to live your life the way you want.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely takes someone to remind you, also takes the uh, overall environment to nurture this kind
Right.
of environment and supportive environment to support our personal needs
Yeah.
as a working mom usually who is juggling a lot of the things together. I still remember when my daughter was young and my husband is very family oriented, also a little bit introverted. He wasn't really happy, wasn't so happy like if I go out a lot, but as extroverted person like
Yes.
me, like
Yes.
so extroverted, I love social interactions. Uh, we had conflicts, but I always felt guilty to go out, hang out with friends.
Mhm.
Nowadays, I have different concept. I feel this is way more important than me going to see a counselor therapist. It's way more economically better. So I feel good every time when I go hang out with friends and doing something that makes myself happy. And in the end, my husband supports me for whatever I feel good about. Yeah,
Great. Yep,
yeah,
absolutely. And you did hit the spot, Mushang, in
yeah,
terms of guilt as well, because a lot of
yeah,
times, we do feel guilt. Like if we are, if we're enjoying ourselves, that's sometimes a sign of, from a perception perspective, that's sometimes more of, oh, they're not doing their job, they're not doing their role. And sometimes there is that perception that if you're not if you're not juggling too many things, then you're not as valuable.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. We have to let go of that guilt and be able to say, you know what, I enjoy these. It doesn't matter what anyone says, as long as I'm enjoying them and being able to come back and be refreshed.
Yes.
That's a most important thing, because that was what was missing in my life before, was my opportunity to get refreshed and to regroup mentally and physically. And I never got to do that because I was always running around. I was always thinking of other people. I was always doing this and doing that. And then being able to just take a step back, smell the roses, being able to just breathe. I think that was what I really needed. And unfortunately for me, that moment in the emergency room when I had health problems was my pivotal point. But it could be something else for others. And what I'm here to do is to not let them get that far.
Yeah. Do you
No.
think if back then there was educational program at your workplace, or even like nowadays, there are so many free resources
Yes,
about
yes.
self-care, self-love, and
Exactly.
probably that could be prevented, right?
I totally agree. I know that there were some back then, health programs and wellness programs, but I wasn't paying attention to them because it was more of that pressure,
Mm,
that gender pressure, that gender role pressure, that cultural pressure, that societal pressure.
yeah,
But when I brought awareness to myself, that's when I explored opportunities to get help. And that's something that's the mistake that I actually made, was going through this journey without a community. I
yeah,
felt that once I belonged to a community and got the help that I needed in terms of mentorship, then I was able to get through my journey much quicker and with more confidence and empowerment.
yeah. Wow, it's definitely community is so important. That's also something I would like to ask you, because kindness, as I talk to you about my podcast is dedicated to spreading kindness. I think empathy and kindness is just the foundation of self-care and also caring for others.
Yes.
And if we can embrace that even in the workplace or in the community, and it would make everyone more healthy and also more happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. I know. And in the workplace, it's much, there's a lot of stress in the workplace. It's great to build a community within your workplace,
yeah,
with colleagues, with your team. There's so much many resources out there now that could help. But there are a lot of times that you do need one-on-one help, or you're not comfortable because you work with these colleagues, that you want to separate your work from your personal life. So it all depends on how people want to engage, but the important thing is to really just engage.
yeah. I did hear so much about whether you can share your personal uh, affairs or personal offense at the workplace. What's your opinion on that?
I think there's a lot of value in the workplace to have great relationships, great working relationships.
Yeah,
One thing that I do with my team, especially when I'm on a new project, is really engage with them, have a one-on-one conversation with them, make sure that they know that I'm somebody that they can trust, building the relationship, seeing what gaps that they're seeing or challenges that they're facing that I possibly could help ease the pain, or the challenge. A lot of times coming from a different perspective really helps, because that will help others be their best. And if they know that there's somebody that's supporting them in terms of leadership, then it appears that their performance is much better because they know somebody will be supporting them. And if there are challenges, they're not going to be alone. And I feel that's important, especially in the workplace, especially when you're working with teams, being able to support each other and being able to get through the challenges together. It building relationships is the key.
Yeah. I agree, since I'm also a marketing technology project manager.
Mhm.
And naturally, I love working with people. But
Mhm.
on the other hand, that imposter syndrome kind of pulling me back a little bit is that not everyone is like me. Not
Mhm.
everyone likes to be like to value like human connection like I do. So occasionally I would pause, usually send a text, should we set up a meeting? I always ask their opinion before even set up a meeting. But I but on the other hand, really like being able to meet one-on-one to talk and face to face and seeing the expression is just so different,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, it is
Yeah,
different. And
yeah,
and to your point, I think one of the major things that as leaders we need to be aware of is the value and the skill of emotional intelligence, being able to understand how others react to situations, and you as a leader, how you react to situations and how you can adjust to other people's personalities to resonate with them and be able to find a common ground. So building off of emotional intelligence and empathy is the key here, especially to be successful on working with teams.
yeah, yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for those insights. So now come back and talk about your success redefined
Yeah.
and share a little bit more about this journey. How you, I know you said you found the pivotal moment at the hospital.
Mhm.
Did you come out to the hospital and started to the business, or how you started it?
Yes, well, I ended up after going through my journey, I was going through the journey with a negative mindset in the beginning. I was saying, why is this always happening to me? What should I be doing differently? Why can't I be why can't I look like everyone else? Why can't I be like everyone else? And that, once I set myself up for success and be able to use the strategies that I came up with during my journey. Of course, there's always going to be trial and error, seeing what works and what doesn't work. But once I got through that journey and I became more empowered to be who I am, I had turned that negative situation into a positive opportunity. Because Mushang, as you and I have been talking, I'm not the only one. You're not the only one that has gone through this type of imposter syndrome and this type of lack of confidence. And I wanted to be a light to other women as well who are going through this at this point. And sometimes we want to do it alone, but other times it's more of I need the help, but I just don't know how to ask. Or if I ask for help, then that means I'm a failure. And I'm here to actually say that it is totally okay to ask for help because you'll be better with help than you were without. And
Mhm.
that's why I decided to start my business because of the fact that the journey that I took and the success that I have today wasn't possible if until I actually changed my mindset and was part of a community of women to uplift me and to tell me that I'm worth it regardless and to let me know to believe in myself, because a lot of times we need other people to validate us, right? And as I said, I needed other people to tell me that I'm okay, that I was valuable. But at the same time, it has to come from within. And that mental work and that assessment journey is a constant personal development. That's why I'm always reaching out and letting women know this is something that is actually a need for you to be able to be where you want to be. At the same time, I know there are a lot of women who had dreams and passions that they want to fulfill, but something is stopping them. And throughout my journey, I told myself I wanted to give back. And this is my way of giving back is taking my knowledge, taking my experience, and taking my the education that I had gained from my journey to really help others be who they want to be authentically.
That's so amazing. I can't wait to hear about. Do you mind to share the outline of your strategies with our audience?
Yes.
Thank
I'll
you for
just say
being the
a very
light.
high level because
Okay.
you know, and I feel like mentorship is one of the keys too, because especially in the workplace, is there are always opportunities to find mentorship. When I started my career, I've always had a mentor that helped me through, through the corporate environment. There's always an opportunity for a personal mentor as well. And a lot of times people are like, oh, it's a therapist. It's this. No, I'm not a therapist. I'm not licensed. I'm not a licensed therapist. What I am is a mentor based on, years of experience in the corporate world, years of experience in my role as a mom and a wife, and being able to really understand what they're going through. And sometimes that's what we need is somebody to help us through our challenges and get out of our heads and be able to move forward in where you want to be in life. And that's where I feel that it is a great opportunity. I One of my strategies that I give, and I'm only giving away one, but I'm sure this will definitely help others, is journal. When you feel that you have a win or a success, write it down. And do it daily, do it weekly. And then when you have those negative moments, or when you have those sad moments, or moments where you feel that you failed, take that journal and read what you had written. Those are your words. And
Yeah.
so you'll be, and my clients have done this in the past, and they said that has been very uplifting because it's nobody else's words. It's your words that you did this, you accomplished this, you achieved this. This is what you did today that made you feel good. And so when you have those negative moments and when you feel that the world is on your shoulders and you are much of a failure, that you feel that you can't get out of what's happening to you negatively, go through that journal. And that journal will be your truth because that's your words. And that will be more of self-affirmations to you to tell you that you are worth it.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the keys to being able to gain that confidence, even just a little bit.
Mm. That's very practical and easy to apply. And
Yes.
I'm thinking about holding a journal and if you're going down the rabbit hole,
Mhm.
follow it, go up, rise and rise.
Exactly.
I'm the visual learner, so I'm always thinking about that. Yeah, those are
Exactly,
great.
exactly. And I know a lot of people don't journal because, it's not as common anymore. And at the same time, it does take time. But that's valuable time because you are writing down your truth. You're writing down what you've accomplished, what you have done for that day that made you feel good. And then, so when those days that are like you're having a bad day, or as I mentioned, you think negatively about yourself, you failed at something, and you feel that you're not going to be more successful, take that journal out and read what you wrote. That's your
Yeah,
words.
that's great idea. And
Yeah.
to me, yeah, I'm someone who don't write journals a lot. However, I do document some of the major or not too major, just some wins on social media and such
Absolutely.
as on Facebook. Occasionally it reminds me something good. Oh, it made my day. Oh, so good. Even
Abs-
looking at my daughter's pictures, it's very soothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
those
And
are good.
you made a great point, Mushang. It's you don't have to just write it down on a piece of paper or in a book. It could be on social media. And when you have those negative moments, flip through your profile on what you had accomplished so far and what you have posted and shared, and you'll be able to get yourself uplifted even if it's a small way.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think I accidentally also did another thing right, is I did a vlog for a year and a half, about 500 days.
Oh,
Just to,
nice.
yeah, before this podcast started, I did it every day. That's my vlog video uh, journal. It's
Mhm.
basically because it's easier
Yeah,
for me to just talk about it and I'm just
exactly.
sitting down and write about it. Probably nowadays with the chat GPT, it's easier to write.
Mhm.
However, that experience helped me to discover so much power in myself. And at the same time, I see so many beauties in ordinary life. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's well, very well said.
Thank you so much for sharing your strategy. So you said you only share one, right? You
Yeah,
want to,
yes, because I do have potential, I do have clients, and so that's the expertise that I do provide, and at the same time, I do provide support. I could tell you strategies, for a long time, but the key here is to commit and to be able to work through those strategies, and as a mentor, be able to support you in being able to implement those strategies and see what works and what doesn't work, and take it from there. Just
yeah.
more support. But yeah, absolutely. And that's what be journaling is the first thing, because then you are really more assessing yourself. And as we talked about earlier, it's more emotional intelligence,
Oh,
learning about yourself, because we think we know ourselves, but then we actually don't.
yeah,
Because there are
yeah,
times
yeah,
we react to certain situations and we behave a certain way based
yeah.
on situations and based on how we were taught, how we were conditioned. So sometimes unlearning those bad habits or negative habits does take time, and that's where a mentor comes in.
Totally. We do need another set of eye to look at ourselves holistically because even we feel like we know ourselves so well, this is just one perspective.
Mhm.
Yeah, so having a good mentor is such a gift. And I personally also being so fortunate to be able to find some of the mentors in life, and they guide me. Sometimes they don't necessarily provide a map for me, but they
Mhm.
are there being a good listener, just to keep me company and uplift me and seeing the true value in me. That's just good enough.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So guide me to fight to discover my own strength. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
thank you so much for being a
Welcome.
light to many people and being a mentor to others.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So that's another thing I was so impressed is that you got on a TV news report. I was just curious about that. Then it's about your business or about some other things. Would you like to talk about that experience a little bit? Because as you said, being a star, being on TV was your dream. Your dream came true, and that actually is part of my dream too. Although I don't know if whenever it's going to come true, but I would love to learn from you.
Yeah, well, I think what you're doing is really great. What I found very helpful was getting myself out there, especially on social media. And what you, like I said, what you're doing with your podcast, that's very helpful to get visibility. What happened to me was opportunity. You know, I just became out there. I had uh, competed in many public speaking contests, and I ended up getting visibility from celebrities. I ended up training under Justin Guarini, who was on American Idol, since he is a performer, and also got the opportunity to be on in the spotlight with Kari Michelson on ABC. One of my speaking engagements as a motivational speaker, I had opportunities to travel around the country to be on multiple stages. And one of the stages was here in Chicago. And I had met Kim Fields, who was also a Hollywood actress, an entertainer. And we were able to share the stage together. She also spoke from her perspective as being in the entertainment industry. So a lot of the opportunities that I had was because of the visibility. And the more visibility that you have, the louder your voice, the more it carries. And I feel that whatever your dream is, go for it and you'll get it. It's more of being able to have that drive and being able to look beyond what you're currently doing and getting that visibility out there and grabbing the opportunities when you can.
Yeah, definitely. Just just put yourself out there and gaining the visibility and gaining the quality connections with
Mhm.
the right people. Probably,
Absolutely.
yeah, usually I always tell people winning something or eventually even the dream come true takes luck. But
Yeah,
on the journey is what we can control. So basically,
exactly.
that's what I'm doing. In the
Exactly.
vlogs and doing the podcast is something that I can control and working my job well in my control. But whether I get a promotion or whether I will be how successfully, that's something takes luck.
Right.
So I
Right.
usually I will leave the luck on the side. And I consider myself extremely lucky over all my journey. I always feel myself just very lucky. Even when I was little, I didn't die. I feel like I'm so lucky I didn't die. And so many times, actually, I
Yeah.
was so close to death. And I,
Boy.
I, I woke up. I didn't die. And I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky.
Yeah, that's great. And like a lot of it is, really your drive and luck, as you mentioned, and at the same time the opportunity that comes about. So, keep doing what you're doing and you'll get there.
You so much. And another thing I was also impressed is by your handsome sons being a pilot, and then you were sharing that he was flew you to places, and share a little bit being a mom and having a pilot son taking you to places.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
You know,
sure that's
yeah,
a
and
moment.
now the story I have here, some people may be able to resonate, but I only have one child. And when my son was born, it was very humbling. He was diagnosed with food allergies and he almost died when he was 1 year old. We didn't know at the time that he had food allergies. He was allergic to dairy, nuts, and seafood. But at the time, we just gave him regular milk. And we didn't know, at the time it wasn't common, food allergies in children or even in general society wasn't common. And so that was where one of my imposter syndromes came about, right? What did I do when I was pregnant to have him cause it, to have him have food allergies? Is it me, because I carried him for 9 months. So a lot of times I carried that guilt around with me, that I may have caused my son's condition. So I dedicated my life to helping him get through his childhood years to ensure that he stayed alive, get the nutrients that he needed. At the time, there was no organic foods weren't readily available. We had to get his some of his milk shipped, from overnight and stuff like that. So there were, and at restaurants, I became BFFs with restaurant managers, to ensure that there's no cross contamination, with utensils and food, with the allergies that he had, because it is traumatic when you have a young child almost die from a food allergy. So at the time, it was one of my commitments, to my son, to be able to raise him to do what he can to live a normal life. As he grew up, we went on a lot of vacations, being able to help him get the exposure that he needed, being an only child. And at the same time, uh, learning from a cultural and societal perspective, we wanted him to choose his career, be who he wanted to be. I wanted him to live the values that I had for myself, is to be able to go for your passions, go for your dreams. And early on in his childhood, he wanted to be a pilot. And, a lot of children, they're always, telling you, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. So we always just thought it was a phase, because he was fascinated by airplanes. He was fascinated going in the air and going in different places. But as he grew older, it got more serious, and he asked for flight simulation software for the computer and equipment for the computer, and all he did was fly through these computer simulations. Throughout high school, he continued to have that passion for airplanes and being a pilot. And when it came to choosing a career in a college, he said, yes, mom, dad, I'm going to do this. So we helped him choose the college that he felt that he was best fit in, and went through his college career, being a flight school student, and then got all these certifications. And now he is a first officer for Envoy Air, which is the main carrier for American Airlines. So we're very, very proud of him, and he has been based in many cities. In the beginning of the year, he was based in Dallas. Now he's based in Miami, and we are hoping that he will be based at O'Hare shortly. So, that was one of the pride accomplishments that my husband and I have, is that we have raised a child to go for his dreams, and that he is living the happiest life that he can.
That's amazing. Yeah, you
Yeah,
want him to be great and let him fly, right?
exactly. Literally.
Literally. And we can apply that to ourselves too if we want to overcome imposter syndrome. It's,
Exactly.
yeah, we need to embrace the opportunities, let ourselves loosen up and fly.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So we're very proud. And he is the first pilot in the family. And so we're
Uh,
very proud of it as well, because it is a unique career. And,
Yeah.
like I said, as children, a lot of boys and girls always say they do want to be pilots, they want to be firemen, they want to be this. And, it's so fulfilling that our child actually fulfilled the dream that he had when he was a child.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I have seen so many pilots. I mean, they are usually men. And then when I heard someone's children are being pilot, it's just so
Yes,
intriguing. So thank you so
absolutely.
much.
So you're
Yeah, for
welcome.
sharing. I know I'm sure it's something that you are so proud.
Yes,
And as
yes.
a parent, I can understand it.
Mhm.
So, we are close to the end of our conversation. Are there any other messages you would like to share with our audience from someone who is the expert in redefining ourselves and redefining success and how to overcome imposter syndrome?
Yes, absolutely. There are so many ways that we can overcome our challenges, especially imposter syndrome. And what the goal is for Success Redefined is to help women over 40 really redefine their success and be able to close the gap between lack of confidence and lack of self-worth and empowerment and success. So we're always going to go through periods in life where we feel like a failure or negative beliefs in ourselves. And what helps is mentorship to be able to get those strategies and to implement them so the gap will be smaller. So when you do happen to have those negative feelings, you'll be able to get those strategies implemented and say, okay, I'm much healthier now. I have a healthier mindset. I am not going to be at that negative state for a long period of time that I'm not able to move forward in life, and that I want to get to my happy place faster. And that's where Success Redefined comes in, because we do have that community, that sense of belonging, and knowing that we're not alone. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I see women make as well, is they try to do everything alone, which, as I mentioned before, I tried to. And I feel that being able to get to that point is the key to be able to be successful. Success Redefined does have several programs and several tiers based on where you're at in your journey. There are so many points of journey that you may be in. So for some people, it's just like, I think I could still do it on my own, but I do want resources to help, supplement my journey and my personal development. There's another program that we have that's more hands-on, to say, you know what, I've tried things, I haven't been able to succeed, and I need some help. Then that's one of our programs as well. The other part is more a premier, where we have a sense of community that is solely focused on confidence and being able to get to that confidence level at the highest level. So there are three tiers, at least, for us to work together on. So if you are ready, if you are a woman over 40 and you are ready to get to the next level, definitely look for me on social media. I can let you know what their programs that we do have in more detail. And at the same time, we do have sessions monthly called Ask Me Anything, which I think Mu Shang, you had attended once, where we do have questions from people who want to get some confidence, whether it's a situation that they are in currently, or they're having a long-term situation that they want to resolve. There's always opportunities for us to have a coaching session that everybody can learn from. So if you want to join us for the next Ask Me Anything session, feel free to reach out to me, and we can put you on the wait list for the next session. But the last thing that I wanted to give the message about is really know yourself. You could be in a dark place in your life that keeps you from being confident, just know that you won't be in that place for much longer. Have belief in yourself and be that light to yourself. Don't let anyone else define you, because that's the true meaning to be authentic. So don't let anyone else define you.
Thank you so much, Gail. That's a very powerful message. Don't let others define you. Your actions define your
Mhm.
destiny or your dream. And for our audience who is interested in Gail's program, and just contact her. She is so helpful and so resourceful, and she's willing to help out. And just check out her program and see if it's right for you. And based on our conversation, I put down some tips there. I don't know if it's aligned with your program. Yeah, mentorship. Find someone at work or outside of work. Find a community that supports you, and also do they take the visibility in social media free platforms to put yourself out there, gain the visibility, exposure therapy. That's how I define that. Exposure therapy actually helps. How we overcome the fear is usually we just face it and deal with it, not ignore it or stay away from it.
Yes.
And another thing, being kind to ourselves. Let ourselves fly. Let us be free. I think that's a very good way to let us step out of the comfort zone that we have. Usually we set ourselves in a box. We need to break the box. We need to see the light first. Be the light to
Yes.
yourself first, and then you can be a light for others. And
Absolutely.
no matter where we are in life, we have the power to be a light for others and for yourself.
Absolutely. Very well
Yeah.
said.
Thank you so much, Gail. And thank you, audience, for staying with us and hearing our conversation. If you like this episode, please share with the people you love and comment and like. And see you next time. And thank you again, Gail.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you
by the
for
way, I
having
will
me.
share your contact information with our audience. Okay,
Okay.
see you next time.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.